Good morning, everyone. This is Lindy, and I want to introduce Mike. Of course, you've met him before. Thanks, Mike, for having a conversation with me today.
No problem.
Okay.
Glad to be here.
Good. We wanted to talk about several things, but mainly Mike's life and what led him to van life full-time. So, Mike, how old are you?
I am 49 years old.
Okay. And as we've talked, you've told me that you spent approximately 18 years in the Army.
Correct.
When you joined the Army, did you expect to be in there for 18 years?
Oh, God, no. No, I did not. I originally just joined because I met a girl, and she was in the Army, and I wanted to impress her, and I joined the Army. And well, that's how I ended up in it.
You signed up for what, 2 years at first, or was it 4?
It was 4, and then it'd
4?
be 2 hours or 2 years of inactive reserve.
Okay, so when you signed up, what year was that?
That was 1997, just prior to 9/11.
And then 9/11 happened, and what made you keep signing up?
Well, what happened was when 9/11 happened, we had what was called an automatic stop loss, which means that nobody was getting out.
Oh.
Okay. I won't lie and say that I wasn't too thrilled about that. By this time the girl had already moved on, and yeah, I wanted out. I realized that I joined the military. It was a mistake joining the military, and but what happened was that we got our first deployment, which was to Iraq, and then I kind of put on my big boy pants and realized why I was there.
And what was your job at first when you joined the military?
I was what they called back then a combat medic, and that was the title that was given automaticely to us at the time.
Yeah.
When you went to the training.
Yeah.
You're now a combat medic.
Yeah.
But you really don't. You really don't feel like you deserve that title until you've actually gone and served overseas or wherever.
So you've done your military stint. And when you, at the end of it, weren't you a photographer or something?
Yes,
journalist?
yes.
Or?
So what happened was that I ended up. Okay, I'm going to pause here. What ended up happening was yeah, I joined as a combat medic, and I ended up doing 2 tours overseas as a combat medic, and I went on. I was also attached to an infantry unit, which means that I had to go and do patrols with the regular Joes, and I was their medic. So I had seen action, and while I was over there, I was, of course, taking care of casualties on both sides, and that's the one thing that's really interesting about the Army. Or the U.S. especially, is that we will take care of combatives as well as our own. So there's that distinction, and so after 2 tours, the command was realizing, hey, he's under a lot of stress.
Yeah.
He had seen a lot of things. He zipped up one too many body bags, in their opinion. Because we took casualties, but and also I had to zip up the body bags of the enemy and all that, and follow their cultural traditions in handling their dead. So although that would be mortuary affairs, I had to at my level I also had to take care of that, respect their soldiers.
So when they felt you were you'd had enough stress, they put you in a different position?
Yes, it was only supposed to be a temporary position. They ended up putting me into the public affairs, which translates basically to photojournalism.
No.
At that time, I liked looking at photos, but I was not a photographer at all. you know, and when they put me into that, I was actually exposed to probably more stressful stuff, honestly.
Really?
Really. Because now I had the duty of being inactive when it came to anything that was going on, with the exception of defending, protecting myself and defending my fellows.
Mm-hmm.
I was taking pictures of scenes that I could not do anything about.
Scenes of destruction.
Scenes of destruction. Also of the treatment of, like, say, for example.
What kind of training did you get for that? Did they just hand you a camera, or did you get some training of some sort?
Well, at first, because I was in a combat zone, there was no training.
No training?
Yeah, other than here's a manual, you know, here's a manual specialist, and here's the camera. Learn it. You've got a week, and we're going to be putting you behind the camera. I still carried my weapon, but I now am recording, like combat camera.
Yeah. How long did you do that?
I did that for the remaining two tours.
2 tours.
So
8 years.
Yeah, for Guantanamo Bay, Cuba,
mm-hmm.
and for Kuwait, which was my last tour.
Mm-hmm. So now you've gotten out.
Mm-hmm.
And was it easy or a difficult transition back to normal life from such a strict environment?
Oh, wow. What a question. It was actually very, very, very difficult. So when I went in, obviously, for a girl, I had delusions of grandeur that I was going to come home a hero and all that. And this was, of course, again, before 9/11. Mm-hmm. But I thought I was going to be a hero. And the only hero I really wanted to be was to one person.
Right.
Right. That obviously didn't work out.
Mm-hmm.
So even though we went on all these tours, we came back stateside, and we would have what we call downtime mm-hmm. for about 6 to 8 months.
Yeah.
Before we went out again. And when it was like the administration had changed over to the Obama administration, make the decision to get out of the military, I was just going to go ahead and stay in.
Were you?
And I'll get to the reasons of that in a moment. But basically, I was released from military duty because my APFT scores, which was the physical testing, was lower. Was the lower average in the unit.
So they didn't need as many military, basically.
No,
so
we were having to draw down our forces. If you remember, we were pulling out of
right.
Iraq, and then the next step was going to be Afghanistan.
Right.
According to the plan of that administration, he wanted to reduce our forces, our footprint overseas.
Right.
And there's a lot of people who are like, "Oh my God, I can't believe." He wanted to reduce the amount of expenses and lives that was coming across his desk.
So he was, but what I'm trying to get at, I think, is the military was trying to reduce its size.
Yes, our influence.
Okay. Our influence, but not the size of the military.
Yes.
No, we're talking complete size of the military.
That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah. Because what a lot of people don't realize, and this is not secret information or anything, is that the 70% to 75% of our forces are overseas.
Right.
They're not in town. So he wanted to bring us back home.
Right.
And also because you don't need that many if you bring them back home.
Then let some go. That's what I'm trying to get at.
Right.
So by doing that, they decided to take the highest scores
and keep them
in fitness, keep them, and let the lesser scores go.
Right.
Is what I'm trying to get at.
Right.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What was your rank?
I attained corporal.
Corporal. Okay.
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 Now, so everything. So getting out of the military was not my choice.
Right.
All right. And so, of course, I had a huge thing going on in my head because what was happening, what I had found myself is I found myself in this loop.
Right.
Okay. I mean, yeah, we would come back stateside for a little while, but it was still military. Hey, we're doing this. We're da-da-da. So civilian life, which what you're in right now,
right?
It was going and it was passing me. So when I went in, there was no, like when it comes to dating and relationships, okay, there were no Tinder. There were no, the online dating was in its infancy.
Mm-hmm.
So, and nobody really believed that it was going to take off, that you were going to be doing your dating or your finding a potential mate
Mm-hmm.
while you're online. The idea of that is crazy.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
I remember when it
Yeah.
started. You're like, oh, this will never happen.
Yeah, eHarmony. And
Yeah.
yeah,
What is
no,
this
no.
all about?
I mean, it sounded worse than going to a bar.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So by the time I came out, so much had changed in the world. Although I knew of it, I wasn't experiencing it.
Yeah.
Because my experience was, you get up at 5 o'clock or 4 o'clock in the morning, you do PT,
Right.
you get dressed, you shower, you get dressed, go have breakfast.
Everything was coordinated for you, down to the minute.
Right. So I was in a box. I was in a box. You know? So the idea of going outside that box was totally alien and foreign to me. So when I had to leave the military, yeah, I was in really...
Does the military in any way have a stepping stone program to integrate you into normal life and dealing with, you get medical help, just checked out for PTSD, and then kind of, do they try to help you get apartments or anything at all?
They do try, they do the best that they can. Okay, you gotta understand, there's a lot of soldiers.
Yeah.
So if they were to say, well, most of them have families, so they go home.
Yeah.
And that's where their focus has been, because during my time, there was a lot of people, or a lot of soldiers that went back and have instantly turned. Being deployed changes you. I don't care.
You're not the same person when you come back, and your family doesn't recognize the person you are right now.
Right. For you.
Uh-huh.
But the amount of soldiers that are coming over, if you were to buy apartments or houses for them.
Well, no, not buy, but maybe focus on giving them, here's an agency to call, here's this, you know, where do you want to live? I know you get transportation there.
Yeah.
To any city you want to go to.
No.
No? I did. They
can to help you, but basically,
okay,
they have the mentality of, you're a big boy or girl, and you pick up and carry on.
Okay. So what was your first job?
First job on the civilian side?
Mm-hmm.
That's a good question. It's been so long. Well, the first thing that I did was I went to school.
Oh, did you? Okay.
And I tried to, because I had a friend who was like, hey, why don't you stay with us and go to school?
Oh, good.
So
good. You did have some support.
I had some support in the way of a friend, outside blood. So,
right.
There is no. I'm the last of my generation of my family.
Yeah.
But
I know.
Let me see. So I went to school and I became a photographer.
Okay.
And my goal ultimately was to become a photojournalist. Nobody would hire me as a photojournalist. You know, even though I have a very impressive portfolio in the military, and I can point you to all the work that I've done. You know, huge portfolio. No newspaper would pick me up, no news agency, and all that, because they want you to have the credentials. Mm-hmm. Even though you've been tried and true,
they want you to have public credentials.
Yeah, they want your college education.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
And I can tell you now, it's been my experience, I have a bachelor's degree in fine arts, and I can tell you now, I don't know where that piece of diploma is. It's probably in my storage unit somewhere.
Yeah.
It is just a piece of paper.
Yeah. So you had the trouble with that. Did you get into the medic field? You also have medic experience.
I did.
Medical experience. I do. Mm-hmm. So would that be easier?
I actually tried that.
Did you?
And I had to again go to school.
Okay.
So because of the different breaks in between tours, I guess you can say, it gives you enough time to go to school.
Okay.
So between my first and second tour, I actually went to school and I became a medical assistant in a company.
Okay.
And the military medicine and civilian normal medicine is completely different.
Okay.
Over there, I have the title of doc.
Yeah.
Because basically when it comes to the line troops, I am their doctor. I am their first line. They call me a doctor. And there are things that we do in the military that would be way out of my scope as a medical assistant here in the States. Now, I'm not...
But let's get out of the military, Mike.
But you wanted the military.
But we're transitioning into civil life. That's what we're talking about.
There is no transition. That's what I'm trying to point out.
Is that what you're saying?
I'm pointing out there is no transition.
You're still...
Once a soldier,
always a soldier. Okay.
So
that's why we're not getting out. We're still involved in that.
Because...
Now a civilian.
I'm now a civilian,
but
I still act like a soldier.
Oh, you still feel like one, in a way.
In a way.
Really?
Yes. Look at van life, for example. Take van life, for example.
So why van life?
Because it actually mirrors military life.
Does it?
It does.
Because you're constantly
close
on the move?
proximity in the barracks.
Okay.
Minimum amount of amenities.
Amenities. You don't have a lot of things in the military.
Exactly. You have. I have control. I have control of my life. I have control of what I drink, what I eat. You know, it may not exactly be the best.
We have control. Also, you can drive away if you're unhappy in the scenario you're at.
Exactly. Now, in a military situation, if we feel that there's something going on that's not right, and we don't feel like returning, putting ourselves in a bad situation, we drive away. And I've been on a lot of those. What
a thought process.
Yeah.
I would have never thought van life was like military.
That's a mobile barrack.
But you're right. You're absolutely right. I had never thought about that. That was it's an easy transition for you into van life.
Exactly. And then, sponge.
You can still work outside the van.
You sponge beige in the middle of the desert, that's just like here.
Yep.
You always want to be on the move over there, so do I. Now, I'm sure a lot of people are saying, well, that's a sign of PTSD. Absolutely. But PTSD is always given a negative condensation.
It's not always negative.
But it's not always negative. So let's say that something crazy happens right now. Like, we all know the economy sucks.
Right.
We all know we have this political division right now in our country.
Right.
I am prepared. I mean, yeah, I would have to go. Okay, I would have to go into town, get supplies, and all that. But I would be okay. I would be okay going out in the middle of the wood or the desert.
You would be,
because, boom.
Right.
I'm not saying it's going to turn into a Mad Max scenario.
Right.
But that is why it's an easy transition for me.
That's really, I had never thought of that. Not in a million years.
Now, I know that you have military experience as well. This
was an easy transition for me.
Yeah.
Not at all. I didn't have a problem with it.
Right. Now, could it be because of the military service training?
It could be, but that was so many years ago. I honestly don't know, except that the military training never left me. I was always, in every job, there was always, because of that training, I was focused. I was always, different when I led people, but that training was always there. So military may be something that really helps us become van dwellers.
I think the military saved my life, because before going into the military, like I said, I had delusions of grandeur chasing after this girl. Now I'm not chasing a woman like this.
No.
And it has changed my perspective.
But you're more content in this van than in an apartment, aren't you?
Yes.
Or any kind of sticks and bricks.
Right. And also, I mean, everyone is like, oh, it's PTSD. He's gonna go crazy.
Nah,
and
I don't think so.
No, I want to go and I want to travel the country. I want to see the good.
Yeah.
In the world.
And I've always seen the good. You've seen so much bad.
Right.
That you have to get over the bad and see all these good people. because there's more good than bad.
Yeah,
you just haven't seen it all.
Right, and I've met a lot of good people on this road. Yeah, and I've met a lot of bad people. But the good thing about bad people is you can always get away. Yeah,
but the majority are pretty good.
Yes, I would say 90% of the people that I've.
Yeah. Yeah. So this has been a pretty intense conversation. Do you have anything to say about van life that you've heard that's negative, that you kind of want to defend van life? Or do you think there's anything to defend?
Well, I still believe that there's nothing wrong with having sticks and bricks. Okay.
No, there isn't. No.
But in my situation, not having an immediate or an extended family, again, no wife, no children, no siblings, none of that. I don't have any of that. Now, a lot of people are going to probably watching this going, "Oh my God, he's got, that's great." Okay.
Except you have to have a little bit of loneliness because you have no siblings. No, I mean, to some extent, there is always going to be loneliness no matter who we are.
Right.
But you combat that in your own way.
Right, and I combat that by talking to people and meeting people. I will be that kind of guy that where at one time it was common, now it's not. I will actually stop somebody a stranger on the street and talk to them.
Oh, I do all the time.
Yeah. It helps fill in, and I mean
the social aspect of it.
Yeah. Because I learn.
Right. You're not part of society as a van dweller, so they say. We are, but we're not.
Right. We're outcasts.
We're gypsies. 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 But our lifestyle will be beneficial for the country. I think in the long run, it will be beneficial for the country.
I think
particularly the seniors.
Yes. A lot of people need to, I think, unplug from society a little bit. And if I were to give one piece of advice, even if it's a freaking RV or tent, just go out and get away from Mother Nature and realize what privileges you have. When you go... Get
away from the news, from all of the BS that's out there.
Yes.
And just sit and think and look and think about yourself and your life and what you've accomplished, what you haven't, what would you like to, but just think. And we never stop to just think. I'm not talking about smelling the roses like they used to say. I'm saying we are always on the go. We're watching this, we're watching that. We're addicted to our phones. I realized that this time. Just stop and think. I've been forced to just stop and think.
Yeah. This movement has been going on for a while. The movement of stop and think and meditate.
For a long time.
And ground yourself.
But we don't do it.
Don't know how to do it.
They don't know how to do it.
And a lot of times, because like with anything, you have to practice.
Yeah.
You have to practice van life. You have to practice being a soldier. You have to practice being a senior sometimes.
Oh, yeah, because you forget until you hurt something.
Yeah. So, that's the thing. If I were to give one piece of advice, is just get out there. Get out, and people are saying, get out of your comfort zone. It's not getting out of your comfort zone, because we don't come into this world with a cell phone already. We don't come into this world with money. We don't come into this world with anything. Sometimes you just need to just grab the minimal amount of stuff and go and take a mini vacation from your life, and then to get back to another reason why I went into this, it was an easy transition. It was the fact that I was working at a warehouse and in Salt Lake City, and I would work 14 hours a day, sometimes, or anywhere from 12 to 14 hours a day. It depends on how busy, because in a distribution center, you are working your butt off, but you're making pretty good money.
Yeah.
And that to me was like weird. It's like, I'm doing this to make more money, to buy more stuff, to fill my apartment
that you're never in.
That I am only there for maybe 8 to 10 hours. And then I work, because, you know, the days of working from 9 to 5 is over, obviously.
Yeah.
Working from Monday to Friday only is gone, because now you sometimes will work, sometimes you'll work from Monday through Saturday, because, you know, mandatory overtime. Whoever heard of mandatory overtime? So if you do happen to be fortunate one week, because it's slow, because it's not a holiday or a holiday season or anything, and you do manage to get a weekend off, you spend the first day, Saturday, recovering from Monday through Friday, and then Sunday you're getting yourself ready to do something fun, you know,
like your wash.
Like, yeah. And then you realize, oh crap, I gotta go to work tomorrow. And so anything you plan to get out away and escape,
you can.
And this is the perspective of a single guy. I can only imagine what it's like for families where both the mother and the father have to work to maintain the household. In the 80s, you could buy a home for $40,000.
I bought one in '85. I paid $89,000.
$89,000.
But that was in California.
It depends where.
Yeah.
San Francisco and all that. Yeah. But already you guys were seeing something going wrong. There was probably a huge disconnect.
Yeah.
Between living in, say, Southern California and like Riverside. Yeah. Versus San Francisco. Yeah. 80,000 versus the 40,000. Yeah. But it wasn't too big of a difference. It was only double. Like, okay, it's a bigger city. Yeah. But now we are looking at a studio apartment where I'm at, Utah. That's my home base. And we're looking at a studio apartment for $16,000-$17,000. Studio apartment. Okay.
And now it's 1,900 in San Francisco.
In the same area, there are houses that are being sold in Tooele, a rural town in Utah, being sold for $389,000. And it's a small house. And the other thing is that it looks like everyone else's house. Right. There's no individuality. There's HOAs and everything else. Right. And that's just the house. You still got to worry about the bills for the utilities and insurance, your car to and from, because there's no real. There's not those kind of jobs in Tooele. Right. You got to go to Salt Lake City, which is 47 miles away.
Yeah, you have to commute.
You have to commute. And you look at the millennials. I mean, forget the X generation already know we done screwed ourselves a little bit. But you look at the millennials, which is the ones that we raised, you know, not wanting them to have to go through the hardships of us that we did, but now they are in the mindset that they both have to work. So now they're paying for nanny babysitting duties. Their children are being raised without even really knowing their parents or even their family history. I mean, this cycle is getting crazy. And we're not even talking seniors now. Yeah. I mean, I know there's so many seniors going homeless right now. Yeah. You know, and also going through the fact that a lot of people think, well, it's their fault because they didn't save. Can you save right now? If you're not a senior, how much are you saving right now? How much investment are you doing? I mean, I'm sure there's a few in your audience that are smart, that are doing it. But I can tell you now, there weren't too many Gen X people that did a lot of investing. Yeah. I did.
My son did.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you.
More?
No, I think we're done. Now. You're on a roll, and I got to cut you off that roll, or we'll have a 2-hour video. I may cut it into different. No, you're not going to cut anything. I have to see it first. So
I'm not cutting nothing. You do all
that. No, because I have a certain aspect to it.
Right.
Thank you.
Is there anything? Okay, so now the interview's over.
Thank you so much, Mike, for interviewing with me and giving me your time. and you'll be leaving in about 2 days. So I want you to enjoy. You're going to really enjoy your van. And we did do a lot with it this time. And
yes, we did.
You have a lot of plans to really work with and improve.
Right.
We've discovered some things on this trip.
Yep. And if you guys are interested in seeing my travels, it's Get Lost Mike on YouTube.
And I will have his link as well in the description. Marley.